My name is Lester Leavitt, and welcome to the Driftless Rivers Coalition podcast channel. In this video, we're going to continue to talk about the theme We've Been Here Before. But this one here, in this video, we're going to talk about the 1920s. So We've Been Here Before, Part 2. In the 1920s, known as the Roaring Twenties, capitalism was running amok. And the wealth disparity was expanding exponentially. The top 5% of the population, the wealthiest 5% of the population, were accruing 1/3 of all new wealth. So 19 out of 20 people were sharing the 2/3 of the wealth, but that top 1/3 of the income of the gains in the country were going to that 5%, the 5 out of 100 people that were super wealthy. Farm failures were expanding because of World War I. We had expanded. Farmers had had a wonderful time. They had bought new equipment. They had bought more land. They had gone crazy into debt so that they could send more grain to Europe. And then World War I ended. Europe started growing their own grain again, and farm failures went up by a factor of 6. But what was on the front page of the newspaper at this point in time? It was Sacco and Vanzetti. It was the immigration problems. We had to have laws to stop immigration because now the immigrants all of a sudden spoke a foreign language and they didn't assimilate as well into our cities. And so we had the settlement houses start up to help these strange new people assimilate into our cities. But they were seen as very threatening because change is threatening to a lot of people. And so this change was also affecting schools. They had this Scopes trial, the monkey trials, because they were teaching evolution in the schools. Well, were we allowed to teach science in school? Was that a smart thing? Or did we have to keep our public school system attached inextricably to the Bible? And this atheist guy in Little Rock, Arkansas, opened a storefront, and they didn't know what to do with a man who was professing atheism with a store. So they charged him with blasphemy. So this is what was on the front pages of the newspapers. They were fighting the culture wars, and they were fighting this isolationist mentality that the United States has to stand alone. We cannot assimilate all of these other people because it will change our identity of who we are in the minds of the people who got here 15 years before, 10 years before. And so it was like, oh, okay, I'm here now, shut the door, can't have anybody else come in. This is the mentality from the 1920s. It sounds very similar to where we are right now. The big problems in the United States today are regarding religion and regarding immigration. We can't have trans women competing in professional sports, and we've got to close the border, and everybody who is here who doesn't speak English has to go home. And we can start rounding them up 3,000 a day to send them back to where they came from. And it doesn't matter whether they've got papers or not, whether they're legal or not. They can be showing up for their court date, following the system that we put into place. We still arrest them and we send them back home. It's that isolationist mentality. Sacco and Vanzetti could not get a fair trial in the 1920s, just like somebody from Mexico or a Latin American country, if they've got brown skin, can't get a fair trial today. So once again, we've been here before. What happened at the end of the 1920s? Well, we had the stock market collapse. We had Black Tuesday, October 29th. And right after that, the Bonus Army put a encampment on the National Mall. Now, if you haven't heard the story of the Bonus Army, they were World War I veterans. The government didn't have any money. We hadn't put a tax system in place that we could afford to finance on our own as a country the cost of going to war. So we promised these soldiers a bonus that they would get in time to send their child to university 10, 15 years down the road. Well, the farmer lost his farm, the businessman lost his business, everybody lost their job, and they all lost their homes. They went camped on the National Mall. So what did Hoover decide to do? Because he didn't like the looks of this, it wasn't attractive. So he sent the National Guard in. They smoke bombed the place. They killed 2 veterans. They killed an 11-month-old baby with a smoke bomb. And then, as if it wasn't enough, they burned all of the remaining possessions of all of these people that had camped on the National Mall. And that moral clarity moment just before the election of 1932 is what swept FDR into power. And he subsequently had won the hearts of so many people because he showed moral clarity in a moment when the nation needed moral clarity. And once again, as I've said, we've been here before. We are here again. What are we going to choose?